Hey, Chris here from Food and Drink Stories. Today I'm going to show you how you can make literally dozens of cocktails at home with 3 simple ingredients. Let's get stuck in. Making cocktails at home can seem like quite a lot of effort. It can also seem quite expensive, particularly if you're buying liqueurs and things for very niche sort of cocktail recipes. It can all add up. Well, I'm going to share a bit of a secret with you. Many of the most famous cocktail recipes in the world are just variations of just a couple of really simple recipes. Regardless of what you have in the cupboard sort of spirit-wise, if you have some citrus fruits, whether it be oranges, lemons or limes, some sugar, just granulated, absolutely fine, and lastly some Angostura bitters. Now these are a bartender's best friend. A bottle is only about £10 and it will last for ages and ages, and it will go in all sorts of different drinks. From there, all you need is any base spirit and then potentially one other ingredient, whether that be a liqueur, whether it be some soda, basically whatever you've kind of got. Let me prove it to you. So look, what I wanted to do was just pull out some different spirits from my drinks cabinet, and basically what I'll do is I will just fire out some different recipes that you can make with just the ingredients that I've described, plus maybe one other. So, with gin, lemon is your friend here. You can make a gin fizz, a Tom Collins, a bramble with some blackberry liqueur, French 75, or if you have lime, then a gimlet. Right, next up. So, bourbon. If you don't have bourbon, but perhaps you have Scotch whiskey or Irish whiskey, some of these can be adapted as well. So take a look at an old-fashioned, a Rob Roy, a whiskey sour, a Manhattan, a Blizzard, a Canadian, John Collins, or a mint julep. There are so many, particularly with the bitters. So next, brandy. Maybe get some brandy kicking about. Loads of people just have it because, I don't know, they've been given it, but they don't necessarily really like it. There are loads of great cocktails with this. Orange is great with brandy. So Sidecar, Brandy Sour, Metropolitan of Chicago, Cobbler, Between the Sheets, or a Cruster. There are loads. And brandy's great. I really think it's underrated. So do give it a try if you've got some kicking about. In fact, I might use this a bit later on. So rum, there are loads of different styles of rum. You've got the sort of French style, the Spanish style, the English style, but there are loads of different cocktails out there. Lime here is a great pairing, and you'll see this across loads of different drinks. So you can start quite simple with like a Dark and Stormy or a Cuba Libre. You can easily move up to a mojito, a classic daiquiri, which is such an underrated cocktail. You can try Ron Collins or an Acapulco. Basically, whatever you put this with, you squeeze a lime juice or something is really good to add to it as well. Disaronno, make a Disaronno sour, same combination. Vodka, I'm not sure I've got any, just normal vodka. Vodka, you tend to need a couple more ingredients. On the whole, it's such a neutral spirit that you tend to need something else in there. But again, there's still plenty of recipes that use those base ingredients, whether it be lemon, sugar, and then something else, and then the vodka. I think that's plenty. I think, you know, you're gonna have at least one of those. If you're watching this video, you're likely to have at least one of those spirits kicking about in your cupboard. I'm gonna pick out a couple, and I will prove it to you by making a couple of drinks up. Right, so first I'm gonna make an old-fashioned. An old-fashioned is one of my absolute favorites. For a really simple drink, there's a remarkable amount of skill required to make a really good one. I don't claim to be the world's expert in old-fashioned, as some of my colleagues have told me. However, I like the ones I make, so here is how I do it. So to start, you want to get hold of a mixing glass. Failing that, you can use a jug, 1/2 of a cocktail shaker, or the glass itself. Add to it 1 teaspoon of sugar. I'm just using a light brown sugar, but you can experiment and use whatever you like. Add a couple of splashes of those Angostura bitters, or 3. Try not to get the bitters on the table. I have got in a lot of trouble for doing that, at least twice. Add a drop of water to make into a little paste, not syrup. A touch of water, and sort of make into just a bit of a paste, really. Only takes a second. Fill with ice, and don't be shy with the ice. Do go and check out my 5 top bartending tips, where actually I talk at remarkable length about ice, and I will link it up in the cards. I maybe didn't sell it. I actually think it's quite a good video, so do go and check it out. Pour yourself a double measure of whiskey, and basically what you want to do is add this slowly to the ice and dilute it nice and gently. A good tip here, if you've got one of these great bar spoons, in fact I'll link all the equipment I use down in the description below, but a great long bar spoon like this, you can actually turn it upside down and use the other end, and it makes it much easier to stir for some reason. So you just want to stir it down. And stir it some more. And keep stirring. I reckon that's nearly there. I'm just going to try it. A bit more. You'll know when it's done when you get this really lovely smooth flavour. You won't get any of that sort of initial harshness or sort of burn that you might expect normally from just drinking neat bourbon. Right, so you can see now that in fact the colour has changed slightly, so it's sort of changed from that really dark, deep brown to a slightly lighter sort of golden brown. The ice has clearly melted quite a lot, and the volume of the liquid has increased as well. To construct the drink, grab a glass. Rocks glass like this is ideal. It might sound a bit pernickety, but fill this up with fresh ice. Grab a strainer or just a spoon if you don't have one, and then just pour over. To finish, just cut some orange peel and add it to the drink. And there we have it. My very simple, delicious old-fashioned. It's good. Dangerous, but good. Right, second one I'm going to make is Brandy Sour. You can make a sour with loads of stuff. I think whiskey sour is probably the most popular, but as I mentioned earlier, you can also have an amaretto sour, brandy sour. It's a really classic style of drink that's really easy to replicate. You will definitely need a shaker for this. So fill the shaker with ice, add a double measure of brandy, a teaspoon of sugar, or if you have time, just make up a simple sugar syrup. Again, same video as earlier. If you're going to look at my 5 top bartending tips, I will show you how to make a syrup. Basically means you can be more consistent with your recipes, and it also mixes in better with ingredients. If you're just heaping a teaspoon of sugar in, it does work, but a liquid syrup is gonna mix better. Just a dash, so about 10 ml. Squeeze 25 milliliters of fresh lemon juice, which generally equates to about half a lemon. A dash of bitters. And the last ingredient, which you might think is a little bit weird, but actually adds so much to the drink, is the white of 1 egg. The egg white actually doesn't really add much in terms of flavour, but what it does add is texture. It makes this lovely, thick, foamy drink. And then we shake. The top tip here is actually to strain out the drink into the other side of the shaker, get rid of the ice, and then shake the drink again, but with no ice in it whatsoever. Just tap out any big air bubbles, as if you're making a coffee. And this is my favourite part. So that is my brandy sour. Again, you can make this with whiskey, you can make it with amaretto. I love serving it in this style of glass. You can do it over ice, rocks glass if you prefer. But I just think this looks really, really pretty. It doesn't taste half bad either. Right, last but certainly not least is a Tom Collins. So this is a gin-based cocktail. Again, like the sours, it's a recipe that can be replicated with all different manner of spirits. So Tom Collins is the most sort of commonly known one, but I mentioned earlier Ron Collins, there's maybe Don Collins, I think there's, I don't know, there's all the Collinses. A cocktail shaker, ideally, you can probably replicate it without one. Actually, it's probably a good point. If you don't have a cocktail shaker, I mean, it's probably the best bit of cocktail equipment you can get. However, you can probably use like a coffee travel mug as a sort of stopgap, or you just get a cocktail shaker. So again, fill up with ice. This time we're going to use a double measure of gin. Squeeze 25 milliliters of fresh lemon juice. Again, just a splash of the sugar syrup or a teaspoon of sugar, about 10-15 milliliters. Give it a damn good shake. Fill a tall glass full of ice. Just strain it over the ice. Top with some soda water. And just garnish with a wheel of lemon. So that is the easiest of the three. Tom Collins, great one going into summer as well. Oh, that's good. Oh, almost forgot. Please like or subscribe if you are still here. Much love.